We entered the abandoned Bonanza Ponderosa Ranch in 2026. Look what's still there. On its final day, 2,350 people rushed through the Ponderosa Ranch. They bought every souvenir, drank every last drop of beer, and cried at the gates as the sun set on a legend. Then, a tech billionaire sealed the property forever. For over 2 decades, no cameras captured what happened to those iconic buildings, and a heavy silence fell over the hills. But now, in 2026, we have walked the same paths those final visitors took. We found the Cartwright house still standing, its famous stairs still leading to a Hollywood void. In the ruins of the old ice cream parlor, we discovered something frozen in time that no one expected to survive. What we saw inside changed everything we thought we knew about the end of the Ponderosa. Welcome to Royal Time of Hollywood. Today, we are stepping past the no trespassing signs to see what remains of the most famous ranch in television history. The day the music died. The morning of September 26, 2004, still feels heavy for the fans who lived through it. The Ponderosa Ranch had been a staple of Lake Tahoe for 37 years. It wasn't a struggling business. In fact, 2004 was its strongest year on record. Over 250,000 visitors arrived that season to eat a Hosburger and sit where Ben Cartwright sat. The final weekend was surreal. On Saturday, 2,200 people arrived. On Sunday, a record-breaking 2,350 visitors poured in, the largest single-day crowd in the park's history. Fans in cowboy hats and Cartwright vests stripped the gift shop shelves bare. They weren't just buying merchandise. They were trying to hold on to a piece of their childhood. By noon, the food and drinks were gone. As the gates finally swung shut, people stood in the shadows, whispering goodbye to an old friend. Behind the scenes, the end was cold and calculated. Tech billionaire David Duffield had quietly purchased the 570-acre property for approximately $55 million. Government officials had fought to raise $50 million in public funds to turn the ranch into a conservation site with hiking trails and open access. They believed they had a deal until Duffield's private, all-cash offer crushed the public plan. The moment he took ownership, he sealed the land. Chain-link fences went up, and the world that once welcomed families became a forbidden fortress. A race against time and nature. After the crowds vanished, a different kind of activity began. Volunteers from the Thunderbird Lodge Preservation Society rushed in, knowing that the harsh Sierra Nevada weather and the threat of vandalism would soon destroy what was left. They treated the ranch like a delicate attic full of memories. They rescued wagons, buggies, mining tools, and vintage automobiles. One of the most meticulous operations involved the small, white wedding chapel. Originally built in 1871 and moved to the ranch in the 60s, it had hosted nearly 780 weddings a year. Volunteers labeled every wooden plank, dismantled the chapel piece by piece, and transported it to Lamoille, Nevada, where it was rebuilt and continues to host weddings today. The famous Cartwright Ranch house was similarly preserved. Teams numbered every log and stored them in containers, where they still wait for enough funding to rise again. By 2010, the most unsafe structures were gone, and nature began its slow, relentless march to reclaim the land. The ghosts in the woods. If you walk deep enough into the overgrowth today, you'll find the fiberglass horses. For decades, families lined up to take photos on these statues, pretending to be Little Joe or Hoss. When the ranch closed, these heavy photo props were left behind. 20 years later, the forest has swallowed them. Pine needles pile high on their backs, and ferns grow around their legs. They sit quietly in the woods, silent witnesses to the 250,000 people who walked the ranch in its final year. Near the house, the cemetery of the Ponderosa remains, a ridge marked by 15 white wooden crosses. These were the fictional graves of Ben Cartwright's 3 wives, Elizabeth, Inger, and Marie. The graveyard felt so real that as the actual actors passed away, the ranch added memorial markers for them, too. You can still find the markers for Dan Blocker, 1972, Lauren Green, 1987, and Michael Landon, 1991. Pernell Roberts, who played Adam, was still alive when the gates were locked. He died in 2010, long after the world was shut out. The secrets of the ranch house. The main ranch house, opened in 1968, was a masterpiece of illusion. While millions of viewers knew it as a grand two-story home, the building was actually a one-story shell. The staircase inside led to nowhere, a facade designed to satisfy tourists who kept asking where the real Ponderosa was. The bedroom scenes were always filmed in Burbank, California. Even the layout of the house was dictated by reality. The right side never existed because a highway sat too close to the property, forcing TV crews to only shoot from specific angles. Inside the ruins, we found the remains of wax figures, Ben Cartwright at his desk and Hop Sing in the kitchen, frozen mid-task like a Western version of Pompeii. Final thoughts. As we stood on the ridge in 2026, looking at the faint wheel ruts still pressed into the dirt, it was clear that the Ponderosa Ranch wasn't just a theme park. It was a monument to a simpler time, a place where the Cartwright family values felt real. Though the billionaire's gates remain locked, the memories of those 2,350 people on that final day refused to fade. What do you think of the fate of the Ponderosa? Was David Duffield right to return the land to nature, or should it have remained a historical landmark for the fans? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the abandoned history of Hollywood's greatest ranch, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Royal Time of Hollywood. Hit that bell notifications.